Okay, Science CA2 Test 1. First question. Which of the following is not a source of heat? Okay, the sun is definitely a source of heat. Hair dryer, it gives out warm heat too. Lighted bulb, okay, there's light, there's heat. A woolen cap will keep you warm but it does not give off heat. So the first question, your answer is 2. Please remember to do your elimination method. Okay, next question. Which one of the following is a source of light? Always remember, moon is not a source of light. Okay, it's not a source of light. Please copy down this sentence also. Okay, a leaf is definitely not a source of light. Okay, an orange is definitely not a source of light. A candle flame, okay, gives off light and heat. So question 2, answer is 3. Okay, we move on to question 9 now. 9. Thomas wants to measure the temperature of hot water. Which one shows the correct position? Okay, let's look at the few options that we have. Okay, we can straight away cross out number 2, because if you see carefully, it's actually holding on to the tip of the bulb. Remember, we talked about the bulb in class. Okay, the bulb is the part of the thermometer where you use to measure the temperature. So if you hold the bulb like this, you're actually measuring your hand temperature. So this number 3 is also out. Okay, you look at number 1. Number 1 is not even touching the water. How does it measure the temperature of the water? So your option must be number 4. Question 3, answer is 4. Okay, question 17. Lynn make a shadow using her hands. What must she do to make the shadow small? Okay, if you remember, okay, using our own hands and our eyes, what we see is the shadow. Our eyes is the light source. To make the shadow smaller, you got to bring the object away from the light source. So if I move my hands away from the screen, okay, you're actually putting the hands towards the light source, and that will give you a bigger shadow. So those with A, definitely wrong. Okay, so you can cross out A, you can cross out 1 and 4. Okay, move our hands nearer to the screen. Yes, move the torchlight away from the hand. You take you move your head backwards a bit, you realize that your hands get smaller. Oh, that's also true. So answer is B and C. Okay, so this question answer is 3. Question 19. The diagram shows 3 pieces of wood, A, B and C. I glued the 3 pieces of wood together, then I placed them between the torch and the screen shown. Alright, which one of the following is most likely? Okay, so A, B, C, you glue them together. You realize that this is 3, 3, 3. This circle can actually fit inside, totally covered by the square, because it's 3 cm. Alright? Okay, if I were to put the triangle now into here, alright, you'll see that yes, it can cover, but the top part will have to come up. The top part being the shaded area, because it's 4 cm in height. 4 cm in height. Alright, so what kind of thing? So you definitely will not have a oval shape. It's pieces of wood. Wood is opaque. There's no way there can be white color areas. Alright, so you need to have an image like this where there's a pointed end coming out. So for this question, my answer will be 2. Okay, question, the next one. Carol poured the same amount of boiling water into 4 cups of the same shape and size. The cups were made of different materials A, B, C, D. She measured the changes. Which one is the poorest conductor of heat? Okay, always remember, okay, good conductor of heat, gain and lose heat quickly. Alright, so if you want a poor conductor of heat, they must be the lowest change in temperature. So you look at the graph carefully, you see that material A allows the least change of temperature. They drop the least. So for this question, my answer has to be 1A. Okay, Lina shown a torch into the middle of 4 different objects using a setup. Which one is correct? Okay, let's look at the materials there. Okay, eraser is an opaque material, so it do not allow light to pass through. 1 is out. Mirror is also an opaque material. It reflects light. That's not allowed. Alright, to pass through. And frosted glass, yes, frosted glass is translucent, but it do allow some light to pass through. Alright, so actually this is correct. Wooden plank is opaque. It doesn't allow any light to pass through. So this question answer will be 3. Okay. A ball is not a source of light, but we can see it. Which one? Okay, always remember that it's always from object to eyes, the light's ray. So you see carefully, this is lamp to object, object to eye. Okay, this is correct. This one is the other way around, eye to object, object. So this is definitely wrong. Ball, wrong. Right, do you see that the 2 arrows? They're all both going to the ball, wrong. So this question answer is 1. Okay, let's look at this 26. I place some cubes into a glass of hot lemon tea. Okay, there's 2 items in the diagram. We must always put ice cube, they will melt. So temperature will goes up. So that must be heat gain. Hot lemon tea will not become colder. So temperature goes down. Heat loss. Which of the statement of the above is correct? Hot lemon tea does not gain. That's wrong. Alright. Ice cube loses heat. They don't lose heat. They gain heat. Wrong. Hot lemon tea gain heat. They don't gain heat. They lose heat. Wrong. Ice cube gain heat. Yes. Correct. So question 26 answer is 4. Okay, Johnny carried out an experiment to investigate the amount of light passing through 4 different materials. Okay, remember we talked about it when there's amount of light passing through the 4 different materials. We're talking about transparent, translucent, and opaque. Alright, which one will cast the lightest shadow when the torchlight is shown? Okay. First of all, when you have the least amount of light passing through, that must be an opaque object, right? And you have an opaque object, your shadow should be the darkest. So if you use this thinking, you must choose a material that allows the most light to pass through in order to have the lightest shadow. And if you look at the diagram, R allows the most amount of light to pass through. So your answer must be 3. It can't be Q, okay, because it allowed the least light to pass through. So it's just like opaque materials, it will be a very, very dark shadow. Okay, question 29. Ken set up the following experiment to find out the transparency of 4 materials A, B, C, D. Okay, light sensor. Okay, you remember your light sensor that we do in the lab. And remember this one, lux. Lux meaning how much light. Okay, the amount of light. This is the SI unit for light. So, when there's no materials blocking it, right, all light can pass through, you get 400. Okay, then you put A, B, C, D material, and these are the reading. So now they want least to the most transparent. Least meaning least transparent meaning what? Least transparent meaning most opaque. Alright, to translucent to transparent. So opaque material definitely must be C. Okay, must be C because no light can pass through at all. So that must be the least transparent. You look at your options, you have a C here straight away. That's the only one. So question 29, your answer must be a 3. Okay, question. Fatima uses different materials to wrap some ice cube for 10 minutes. The results are shown. Okay, you look at the table. If it is melted, there will be a tick. If it's not melted, it will be a cross. So after 10 minutes, material Y is the only material whereby the ice has not melted yet. That must be the best material to keep food frozen. Alright, so your answer must be 3. Paul conducted an experiment to find out how the position of the light source will affect the length. He placed a stick at A, B, C, D and recorded the length of the shadow. Okay, just know that when the sun is directly above the stick, the shadow is the smallest, just like our 12 o'clock. Right? So at position A is 10, position B is 7, position C, you see, I told you right on top, right? So the shadow is the smallest, that's only 2, and position D is 4. Based on the data collected, what can he conclude from the experiment? Let's look at the first one. The nearer the light source is to the object, alright, the shorter. That's very true. Do you see that D, the distance between the light, okay, source and the object is the shortest. Okay, compared to A. Okay, that's why your shadow here will be the longest. Alright. Okay, so yes, A is correct. So those without A you can actually cross out. Alright. Let's look at B. The further the light source, the shorter. You know that's not true. We just mentioned. So you can cancel out B. So your question here answer is 2. Please remember to use the elimination method. Okay, it can give you a higher percentage of correct answers. when the ball was placed between the light source and the white screen, a shadow, so there's nothing blocking. Now you put a cardboard into here. Okay, first of all, you must know that cardboard is a opaque material, does not allow light to pass through at all, so definitely light cannot even reach onto the ball. So you look at your answers here, which one is the answer? It cannot be the screen because you will still have the blackboard shadow. You cannot have a ball anymore, it cannot be like this, so your answer must be answer must be option 4. Okay. The diagram below shows M and PQ and contain the same amount of water. Okay, we know that they have all the same amount of water but at different temperature. So obviously the one that's the highest temperature has the most amount of heat, as it causes the most painful to your skin if you were to dip it into M. So which one contains the least amount of heat? They want the least. If this is the most, this must be the least. So Q. Answer 4. That's the end of paper 1, MCQ.
Have you seen a shadow? Did you notice that a dark shadow is surrounded by a slightly light region? Let us do an activity to observe a shadow closely. For this we need a bulb, a round object like a ball suspended from a support, and a white screen. Place the ball, the screen and the bulb in a straight line. Keep suitable distance between the three. Switch off all other lights so you can see the shadow of the object falling on the screen. When the screen is very close to the ball, the shadow will be very sharp and we cannot spot any variations in light. We can only see a dark shadow, which is called the umbra. Now move the screen away from the ball. You find that the size of the shadow increases, but the shadow is more diffused and we can see a...
Okay, Wendy wanted to find out if the distance between the lamp and the object affects the height of the shadow formed on the screen. Okay, using our own hands, we already know it will. Okay, when we move the object nearer to the light source, the shadow will actually becomes bigger. Okay, so you see, when we move the lamp and the object nearer to each other, the shadow actually becomes bigger. You look at the data, you realize that this is true. So what could she conclude from her investigation? Alright, you need to answer like this, okay? Use the words between them, okay? So the first one was the shorter the distance between the lamp and object. Okay, the shorter distance, the greater the height of the shadow formed on the white screen. Okay, try to use the headings given in the table, okay, to answer your questions. This will make sure your answers don't go wrong. Okay, B. Now I keep the distance and object at 20. However, I move the screen nearer to the, so I'm moving this screen nearer to the object and the lamp. Alright, so what will happen to the shadow of the object? Okay, so what happened is you are moving your eyes to away from your hand. Alright, and the height of the shadow, if you move this screen nearer, okay, you see it's actually something like this. Okay, look at the diagram. It's something like this. This is how you get the thing. If you were to move the screen nearer, it actually goes nearer towards the image here, and your shadow caught on the screen will actually be shorter than here. Okay, here you see it's way bigger and here it's shorter. So what will happen to the shadow of the object? The shadow would be shorter. Shadow would be shorter. What should Wendy do to ensure that she carry out a fair investigation? Okay, so that here, let's look at the question again. She wants her to find out if the distance between the lamp and the object affects the height of the shadow from the screen. So the only thing that can change is the lamp and the object. Alright, the height, the distance between the lamp and the object. So you see they have 20, 15, 10. The rest of the other items, they could not change. So what can she do to ensure? windy should ensure that the distance between the object and white screen, now this one cannot change, alright, is the same. Okay, this is that means we're talking about from here to here, this distance here, it must always be the same. Only these two distance can change. Alright, that's the answer for the first question. Okay, Mrs. Tay uses two kettles of the same size, material and shape to boil a liter of water. The heating coil were made of similar materials but of different length. Okay, this is the heating coil inside. So what happens in the electric kettle is after you on the electricity, this heating coil, alright, is made of metal, will get heat passing through it. So it get very hot. The water surrounding it will actually turn hot and boil after some time. Okay, but this kettle A has a longer heating coil than kettle B. So obviously, just imagine I have a bigger area of a metal rod heated up. And when I touch your skin, you'll feel more painful than a shorter rod. So explain why the water in A took a shorter time to boil. All this is about surface area. Okay, looking at kettle A and B, kettle A heating coil has a larger surface area than kettle B. Alright, so for this question, they asked, so you said longer length of heating coil will allow more water to be in contact with the coil and thus gain heat faster. Alright, so a longer length of heating coil will allow more water to be in contact with the coil and thus gain heat faster. Okay, that's the reason for the first question. Okay, if you think that I'm too fast, you can actually pause here to copy down your answers before you move on. Alright, okay, let's look at the next question. Okay, Moonbugs and Coffee Me are two different coffee shops. Each uses a different type of paper cup of similar size to serve their customers hot coffee. Eric bought coffee from two shops and found that it was too hot to hold the cups of hot coffee from A but not from Coffee Me. He found that the surface was not smooth but had grooves on it. Okay, groove meaning uneven surfaces. Alright, and okay, before I tell you the answer, I want you to think that these two question, right, is the theory behind it is the same as the kettle. It's about surface area of the cup. Okay, if you're thinking about this and this, which one would you be able to be in contact with more surface area? Definitely the Moonbugs, because it's smooth, you get to hold the cup completely. Alright, so explain why is it less hot to hold the cup of coffee from Coffee Me. Alright, so your answer for this, you should say that the grooves, which is like gaps and holes, alright, on the cup causes our hands to have less contact with the surface of the cup. You cannot stop here. So what if it is less surface? You must explain to me. Thus, less heat travels to the hand. Okay, so that's the answer for this question. Okay, in the ball and ring experiment below, Alex observed that the metal ball was not able to pass through at first. But after you hit the metal ring, okay, what happened is the metal ring gain heat, expanded, becomes bigger. That's why the metal ball could go in and go through the gap. Alright, so explain why. Okay, so like what I said, you got to explain. So you must say that the metal ring, always remember, is gain heat expanded, lose heat contracted. Alright, gain heat and expanded. Alright, then thus allowing the metal ball to pass through. Alright, okay, move down to the second part. Alex went to a carnival and saw an interesting game. He was given 5 minutes to throw 10 marbles onto a metallic tray with holes, and if all marbles go through a hole, he will win the prize. He noticed that the store owner had set up a few trays, and there were some trays that had been left under the sun while the rest were in the shade. To increase his chances of winning, should he choose the trays under the sun or those in the shade? Explain answer. Okay, this question is similar. Okay, there's 2 different types of tray. One is under the hot sun, one is inside the shade. First of all, first question, which type of tray will be hotter? Definitely it will be the one that is under the hot sun. So it gains heat, expanded, all these holes will become bigger, so it's easier for the marbles to go through it. Okay, so that's actually the answer for question 44B. So you should say, okay, you will choose the trays from under the sun. Okay, we got to explain your answer, so we say that heat from the sun causes the metallic tray. Okay, it's a metal tray, that's why it gains heat very fast. Okay, to expand, thus making the holes bigger. Okay, this will be easier for marbles to go through. The trays from under the sun, heat from the sun causes the metal tray to expand, thus making the holes bigger. This will be easier for the marbles to go through. If you want to say metal tray gain heat and expanded, that will be even better. Okay, that's the answer for question 44. Regina shines a torch on a ball and a shadow is formed in a smooth wall. A shadow is formed when light is blocked, okay, by the object. Okay, remember they will ask you like how shadow is formed. You must say the path of light is partially or completely blocked by an object. That's how shadow is formed. Okay, now we got to draw the shadow of the ball that is formed on the wall. Alright, you have to draw a circular shape. Okay, remember I said for this shadow you cannot draw stripes like that. It's not allowed. You must shade the whole shadow dark like this. Yes, this should be your answer.
Have you noticed your shadow on the road in broad daylight? At different times in the day, it may appear to your left or to your right. The size and position of the shadow depends on the direction and position of the light source with respect to the object. Let us conduct an activity to study the direction of the shadow and the size of the shadow. For this, we need a torch and any small toy. We will keep the toy on the table vertically. When light is focused on the toy from this side, you will see that the shadow is formed on the opposite side, which is because light travels in a straight line. Now notice the shadow as the position of the torch is changed continuously. As the torch is revolved around the toy, you will see that the position and size of the shadow also changes, which shows that the size and shape of the shadow depends on the position and angle of the source of light. When you are out in the open under the sun for the entire day and you observe your shadow at regular intervals, you will see the difference in the size and position of the shadow, which is due to the change in position of the sun relative to Earth as sun moves from east to west. Keep an erect stick in the open and observe its shadow at different times during the day. What do you see?
Okay, next question. Rachel positioned a ruler on a sheet of paper and supported the ruler with a blue tag. I shine the torchlight at the ruler and move the torchlight slowly. Okay, this one is just like the sun. Okay, shifting. Okay, so remember that when the sun is right on top of the ruler, the distance is the shortest, shadow is also the shortest. So we look at the results here. Okay, we have A, B, C, D. See, obviously C, it must be the shortest, right? Okay, what is the possible length at D? Okay, D must be longer than C but shorter than E. It will be quite similar to B, slightly longer than B. So this question, I would accept anything between 3 cm to 10 cm. We mean like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 will be okay. Okay, so 3 cm to 10 cm is in between. Okay, why is the length of shadow at position E the longest? Okay, this one is because we always talk about the distance from the light source and the object. Okay, so you say the distance between the light source and the object is the furthest. Okay, always remember length of shadow is related to the distance between the light source and the object. The longer the length of distance between the light source and the object, the longer the shadow form. Alright, this is the answer. Okay, what causes the length of the shadow to change? Alright, it's actually the position of the light source, right? The light source move from A, B, C, D, E, keeps shifting. So the position of the light source. Okay, this is the reason why it causes it to change. Okay, question 42. Nutella uses a light sensor. Okay, you see the word light sensor, it means they're testing whether how much light can pass through. So you have like transparent, opaque and translucent again. Okay, I recorded the reading. Okay, Y has 0, this must be opaque. Okay, Z has 450 is the most, it must be transparent. So the last one must be translucent. Okay, so based on the reading, which material does not allow light to pass through at all? So your answer for this must be material Y. Okay, Y, then you just say the readings. Alright, the readings from the table shows 0 lux. Okay, you see carefully, it shows 0. Alright, 0 meaning no light can pass through. So that's the answer. Okay, next question. Which material should Natalie use for window if she wants a brightly lit room? Okay, brightly lit room meaning a lot of light can come through. Alright, so you look at the diagram. Okay, X, Y, Z. Z will be the one where allows the most amount of light to pass through. So which material? Answer Z. Okay, Lin set up an experiment as shown in the diagram below. 2 identical containers filled with equal amount of water but different temperature. Okay, when you have this kind of questions whereby they have the same amount of water, same cup, but different temperature, it's always talking about amount of heat. Obviously, the one with more is for higher temperature has more heat. So what will be the temperature in each container after 2 hours? Okay, actually both will become 30 degrees Celsius. Why? Because after 2 hours, they will actually lose heat to the surrounding air or gain heat, and it will become the room temperature, which is 30 degrees. Okay, explain your answer in A for X. Okay, so obviously X loses heat to the surrounding because 65 degrees to 30. So you got to say water loses heat to surrounding, okay, after some time it reach the room temperature. Okay, that's for container X. For container Y, it will be the other way round. So you say water gain heat from surrounding, okay, and after some time, same thing, it reach the room temperature. Okay, so this is the answer for this question.